In this next section in Chapter 2, Section 2.8, we're going to be talking about inequalities that have one variable. Now, we spoke of inequalities just a little bit, or at least the symbols for them, back in Chapter 1 when we were talking about which number was bigger than another. And in that chapter, we talked about this symbol meaning less than, and this symbol meaning greater than. There are two other symbols, inequality symbols, that we're going to be using in this section. One of them looks like the less than symbol with a line under it. That line under it is part of an equal sign. So this symbol stands for less than or equal to. And this one, similarly, stands for greater than or equal to. So when we want to write our answers for inequalities, we can't express them as just a single number because they are all numbers bigger than a number, or all numbers smaller than a number, or that number and all the ones littler or greater. So we have several different ways that we can express these answers. The first one is the algebra answer. So as we're solving our equations, we're going to use the same rules to solve equations that we've been using all along. But when we get to the end, instead of saying x equals 6, we're going to say x is less than or equal to 6, or x is less than 6, or x is greater than 6. So that part of the answer will stay the same. Your book will talk in several places about set notation. Set notation is not a type of answer that you need to understand going to classes that happen beyond this. So we've chosen not to address that particular type of notation. But interval notation is a notation that you will use very often. Interval notation is telling us what interval or what portion of the number line does this answer represent. So let's graph the answer first so that we can relate that to the interval notation. If we were going to make a graph of this answer, x is less than or equal to 6, we would first locate 6 on our number line. So I'm going to plot just a 0 and show that 6 is to the right of it. And then there's some symbols that we use when we want to show the equal to part or the not equal to part. When we're showing just less than or greater than, we use parentheses to express our answer. When we're talking about less than or equal to, we use brackets instead. So ones that are boxed off. And we're going to use those when we're marking our number line. So since this one is an x that is smaller than or equal to 6, we're talking about all the numbers that include 6, so I'm going to express that one with a bracket, and anything that's smaller than it. So I would write the 6 on my number line, put a bracket around it, and then color everything smaller than 6. If I wanted to show that x has to be something that is bigger than -2, but it doesn't include -2, I would again find 0 on my number line and -2, and I would say that it's going to be everything bigger than that number 2 that gets included. So I'm going to put the parenthesis instead of the hard bracket to show that the 2 is not included, and color to the right of it. Now these number lines go infinitely in both directions. This number goes all the way to positive infinity, and the sign for infinity is this lazy looking 8 that's laying on its side. They also go forever in the direction of negative infinity. So the lazy 8 with a negative on it. So when we're describing what portion of the number line is being graphed in this answer, we're going to say that for this one, everything from negative infinity, and since negative infinity doesn't have an actual value that we can include, the infinity signs are always going to get the parentheses on this side. And it goes all the way from there up to 6, and it includes 6. So that's why we use the hard bracket on that one. When we're describing this answer in interval notation, we're going to say that this answer starts at -2. That's the place where it begins. And it goes all the way up to a positive infinity. And again, since infinity doesn't have an actual value, we can't include infinity, so it's going to have the soft bracket on that side.